Good morning, First Baptist Church, Zion City. As always, it's such a blessing to be in the house of the Lord one more time. But it's always special for me and my family to be at First Baptist Church, Zion City. In the absence of Pastor Stewart on this morning, and to my brother in the pulpit with me on this morning, and to the deacons and the trustees, to the ushers, and to the church of First Baptist Zion City, I come saying thank you on this morning for having us. It is truly a blessing to be able to be called upon and know that someone trusts you enough to allow you to stand amongst the flock and do a work. I promise y'all I'm not going to be here long on this morning at all. But I just ask that you would turn to the Gospel of Mark. The Gospel of Mark chapter 9. The Gospel of Mark chapter 9. And on this morning, we are going to spotlight verses 23 through 27. And I will be coming from the English Standard Version on this morning. And if you don't have a Bible, I ask that you use your phone or whatever device you may have. And again, we are in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 9, verses 23 through 27. And it states, "And Jesus said to him, 'If you can, all things are possible for one who believes.' Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, 'I believe. Help my unbelief.' And when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, 'You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again.' And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out. And the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, 'He is dead.' But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, 'Why could we not cast it out?' And he said to them, 'This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer.'" This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be unto God. I would like to tag today's message, Miss Gloria. Just believe. It's amazing that you will walk into the house of the Lord and then a person will say something to you and you say, "Boy, I tell you the truth, Holy Spirit, you better move." But y'all know how I operate. We just can't say just believe one time. So I need y'all to find somebody in the house this morning who you ain't spoke to yet, and I need you to look them in the eyes, and I need you to simply tell them, "Just believe." That was good. That was good. That was good. That was good. Now I need y'all to find another person in the house on this morning. And when y'all look at them, I need y'all to look at them now. And I need y'all to look at them like, hey, look at them and lock in. And I need y'all to tell that person, say, "Just believe." Now this when it get real good. This when it get real good because I'm locked in with y'all this morning. So we gonna take a deep breath. And we're going to say to ourselves, self, just believe. Believe. That's a powerful word. Because believing sometimes come with me not really understanding if it can happen. Believe. Sometimes folks say, "Just believe in me," but it's kind of hard to believe in a person who I don't necessarily trust. Just believe. Believe is not a big word, but it's a real powerful word, because when I believe in you, I really expect for something to happen. When I tell my kids, "Man, just believe y'all gonna eat Chick-fil-A today," they expect to eat Chick-fil-A. Growing up, my mama used to tell me, if them dishes ain't clean when I get home, you best to believe it's gonna get ugly for you. It's the summertime, kids. Please do what your folks is telling y'all to do. Because best believe these grown folks will cut up. Before we get to Mark 9 on this morning, I would love to unpack what is happening before we get here. And at this point, when we get to Mark 8, and Mark is wrote by John Mark, and we understand that John Mark was super locked in with Peter, and we understand that John Mark was the son of Mary, and we understand that he got to really lock in with Peter, and Peter was giving him the ins and outs on what his interaction and how his life was going when he was walking with Jesus. Well, when we get to Mark 8, in the beginning of Mark 9, we see that some things have transpired. We see that Jesus has locked in with some folks. He been preaching to some folks. He been talking to some folks. He's been preaching to these folks and talking to these folks. He understand they've been with him all day. He said, man, I got to feed these folks, disciples. And the disciple looked at him like, hold up now, Jesus. Hold up. Here we go again. Talking about you finna feed some folks. He said, yeah, we is going to feed some folks. He said, we got some fish. They said, we got a few pieces. Said, we got some bread. Said, we got a little bread. He said, well, tell the folks to sit down. And they say that he broke the fish and he blessed it. And they say that he fed 4,000 with a few pieces of fish and a few loaves of bread. But what I love about it was he said that this time he didn't have 12 baskets of overflow, but he did have 7. And they say that after that, they say that some things got to moving, and they say that he was super locked in, and they say that he was locked in with Peter at this moment. He said, hey, Peter. He said, man, what these folks be saying about me? Who these folks say I am? He said, man, Peter say, some of these folks say you Elijah. He said, some of these folks say that you a prophet. He said, okay, Peter, I hear you. He said, but what do you believe? Peter said, I believe that you are the Messiah. Well, he say that after that, he say that Jesus said, okay, that's good, Peter, that's good. I'm happy that you know who I am. But then they say that once they got to talking, he said he got to talking to Peter and the rest of his disciples and started telling them about some things that was about to happen. He said, man, listen, he said, the high priest going to give up on me. They going to reject me. He said, the Pharisees, they going to reject me. He said, man, all these folks going to get to talking crazy about me. He said, hey, Peter, these folks going to kill me. He said, but Peter, I'm going to raise on the third day with all powers in my hand. It said that in that moment, it said that Peter started to reprimand Jesus. Hold up, Jesus, what you talking about? No, you ain't right here talking about, man, you better stop talking like that. But Jesus had to tell him, hey, Satan, get behind me. Because I'm telling you what God then told me that was going to happen. And I just need you to believe. Just believe. Well, it say that 6 days later, it say that Jesus and the disciples, after he had healed the blind man with his spit, it say that they went up into a mountain. And when they went up into the mountain, it say that they had an encounter with Elijah and Moses. And when he's having this encounter with Elijah and Moses, it say that Peter, James, and John was with Jesus. And it say that in this moment, Peter ain't know what to do. So it say that Peter leaned over into Jesus and said, hey, Jesus, I think we need to make a memorial or a tent for all 3 of y'all. Well, it say that in that moment, it say that a shadow or a cloud appeared among them. And it say that in this moment, it say that Jesus was transfigured. And it say that his linen was super white, that even bleach can make it this white. And it say that in this moment, they heard a voice, and the voice said, this is my beloved son, whom I'm well pleased with. In this moment, it say that when God got to talking, it say that Elijah and Moses was no longer around. See, Elijah and Moses ain't need to be there because he needed Peter, James, and John to understand exactly who his beloved son was. It was a moment of confirmation, if you will, for Peter. Well, they say that after this moment, they say that they got to walking down the hill, and as they got to walking down the hill, they say that Jesus looked at them and said, all right now, look, what y'all just saw, that stay between us. He said, now look, Don't y'all be telling nobody about what y'all experienced until I have risen from the dead. Well, here we are, Matthew chapter 9, verses 14 through 19. And it states, and when they came to the disciples, they saw a great crowd around them and scribes arguing with them. And immediately all the crowd, when they saw him, were greatly amazed and ran up to him and greeted him. And he asked them, what are you arguing about with them? And someone from the crowd answered him, Teacher, I brought my son to you, for he has a spirit that makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast it out, and they were not able. And he answered them, O faithless generation, how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me. The first point of the day is sometimes we leave a moment of solidarity, and we leave a moment where we've been super locked in with God, and God has given us a specific assignment, and he has told us what he needs us to do. And in this moment, we super locked in with God, and we believe everything that God is telling us. And as soon as we walk out of that season, we walk into confusion and commotion. We have to be prepared to go from solitary or from places of solitude to places of confusion and commotion. And if you believe in what God has called you to do, sometimes we got to understand if Jesus can leave a place of solitude and a place of chill and relaxation and had to walk into some confusion and commotion, we got to be prepared to do the same. Jesus literally just got locked. He locked in with the Father. His disciples, they locked in with the Father. They saying this amazing moment. They having a great moment. And then as soon as they walk down the hill, as soon as I walk out my prayer closet, I hear little people screaming, hollering, fussing, and breaking stuff. But I got to believe that I'm still called for a time such as this. Know that you are called for a time such as this. But to know that, you have to believe. The second point that I have to lock in on in this situation was people understood. They understood the blessings, if you will, or they understood the results, but they didn't necessarily understand the relationship. See, people understood that the disciples were locked in with Jesus. They understood what Jesus had been doing for everybody. They had been hearing about how Jesus right here healing folks, how he right here feeding folks, how he preaching and teaching. They hear all this going on. They hear how he done told the water, peace be still. They hear all this done happen, and they say, well, y'all locked in with him, so y'all should be able to do what he can do. But see, the thing is, we got to understand sometimes God be doing stuff for us sometimes that we don't even understand that he done did for us. But folks will see our results and folks see our relationship and believe that we can do what God can do. So here you got the disciples, and they out here, folks out here fussing at disciples, going off on the disciples. I want y'all to be prepared for folks to fuss at y'all and talk crazy to y'all, disciples, church. I want us to be prepared for folks to be talking crazy to us, because we got to understand that we can't always do the works of God. Because we ain't got the power that God got. We got some power, but we ain't got all the power. See, Alabama power, they can just take care of Alabama power. They can't take care of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Georgia power. Y'all feel what I'm saying? But see, God can take care of Georgia, Tennessee, Canada, Mexico, South Dakota, North Dakota. Y'all feel what I'm saying? We got to understand that folks gonna come to us because they see our walk and they see how God is blessing us, and they expect to get the blessings that we got. but they don't got the relationship that we have. But the reason we have the relationship that we have is because we just believe. Everybody say it with me this morning. Just believe. So point number one, we gonna walk out of commotion, and sometimes we gonna walk out of solitude, and we're gonna walk into commotion and confusion. Point number two, folks gonna look at your results and your relationship and think that they supposed to get what you got, but they don't believe like you believe. This when it get good though, y'all. Verse 20, it say, and they brought the boy to him. And when the spirit saw him, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. See, I love this because, see, the enemy think it's slick. And the enemy think it got some power. And the enemy is so crazy that it really believe that it got more power than God sometimes. So what the enemy did was the enemy said, I'm finna show my tail. It said the spirit saw Jesus, and it said immediately, started going crazy. But if y'all look at the scripture, it don't say nothing about Jesus. He ain't lose his cool. He just let the enemy do what the enemy did, because the enemy can only do so much. See, the enemy can only do what God allows the enemy to do. We have saw it time after time after time in the Bible where the enemy attempt to come and do things. He can only set traps. But see, the enemy can't be everywhere at the same time. So whatever the enemy is trying to set up, or whatever the enemy is trying to do, my God is too big. So my God ain't studying. So my God ain't studying, guess what? I don't need to be studying it either. See, a lot of folks in that moment, they was locked in on the convulsion. Oh my God, he's losing it. What? Oh my God, can you see? He's screaming, he hollering, he foaming, he convulsing. Jesus just said that. And I'm pretty sure his disciples just sat there and looked at Jesus, and they looked at the boy, and they looked at Jesus, and they looked at the boy, and Jesus looked at the boy, and looked at the boy, and looked at the boy, and looked at him some more. And I can guarantee you he ain't say this, but he thought that's all you got, Satan. That's your best punch. See, sometimes when we going through things and we believe how we believe, we got to look at Satan and say, that's all you got, Satan? That's your best punch? They wrote me up on the job, that's your best punch? Are you sending bills, that's your best punch? Oh, they diagnosed me with that, that's your best punch? Oh, they trying to say this, that, and the third, that's your best punch? But I ain't even sweating yet. And that's your best punch. You in trouble. See, sometimes we got to tell Satan, you in trouble. Because you got to understand who you dealing with, and you got to understand what I believe. The great Jesse Jackson said, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. He didn't even know he was preaching. But that boy was preaching. Verse 21 and 22, it say, and Jesus asked his father, how long has this been happening to him? And he said, from childhood. And it has often cast him into fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Sometimes, y'all, the enemy tries to steal, kill, and destroy. He has one job to do, and he's working extremely hard to do it. There have been some things that we have been dealing with since we was little bitty. There have been some problems and some issues that we have been holding on to since we was little bitty. Some of us are dealing with chains that we are truly trying to break, and we've been dealing with them since we was little bitty. It say that the boy had been dealing with this since he was a little bit, but not only was he dealing with it from childhood, it say that the spirit was trying to take him out. Say the spirit took him through the fire. Say that the spirit tried to drown him. It say that all of these things the enemy are trying to do to take you out. But God say that no, he ain't got nothing to do with what I got going on. See, these are only testaments for testimonies. These are moments to advertise how I done brought you out. Sometimes we got to go through the fire. Sometimes we got to be drowned. Sometimes we got to go through the tough situations. And sometimes we got to deal with situations for a real long time. So folks can see really how good our God is. We got to know that we can deal with some things for 30, 40, and 50 years, and God will pull us out of it, and he will make us renewed, and he will refresh us. But we got to believe that God can do it. Everybody say, just believe. You have to believe. See, I have learned in life that I'm going to forever be broken. I'm going to forever be messed up because of the fall. I got to understand that everything about me, I'm flawed and messed up. I got to understand that I can't do nothing perfect. I got to understand that, hey, even in my brokenness and my messed upness, though, Jesus can still do a great work in me. I understand that I messed up time after time after time after time again in my youth. I understand that I messed up as an adult. I understand that I messed up. But I got to understand that sometimes my mess up be a bless up. Sometimes people need to see how messed up you was, and you got to go through some stuff for a real long time so they can really be like, nah, ain't nobody do that but God. But in order for God to do it, you just have to believe. Here we go. Y'all locked in now. Everybody say it with me. Just believe. This is a good word, y'all, because it's some power in this thing. And it just reminds us if we just believe, God can do anything but fail. No matter how long you've been dealing with it, he say you've been dealing with it for that long because you ain't really submitted yourself to me and you ain't really brought the problem before the throne because you listening to what everybody else saying. And you listening to what they trying to say, how it got control of you, but it has no control over you. Because I control everything. The moment that we understand that we serve a God that controls everything and he can change anything, we will be A-OK, church. 23 through 27. This is when we get to the meat of it. And Jesus said to him, if you can, all things are possible for one who believes. Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, I believe, help my unbelief. And when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, you mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out. And the boy was like a corpse. So that most of the men said, he is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he had entered the house, his disciple asked him privately, why we couldn't do that? Why we couldn't cast it out? And he said to them, see, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer. If y'all would for a minute, I just want to turn to verse 23. If it's a conjunction. If it's a word that comes with uncertainty. We can't go to God with an if type of prayer. You got to go to God with a I know you can kind of prayer. See, if we going to God with that if type of spirit, that means I don't know if you can or if you can't. I just, no. See, when I tell my kid if, y'all do right, that means I don't know if they going to do right or if they ain't going to do right. When I was young, I used to say, Mama, if we got enough money, that means I don't know if you got enough money, if you ain't got enough money. I used to look at my dad and say, if my friend do right, I don't know if my friend going to do right, but if they do right, Dad, can they come back to the crib? If leaves uncertainty. If means you do not truly believe. He went to God talking about something. So God, Jesus looked at him and said, if. See, y'all, this so good. I get chills when Jesus said, if. Man, do you know who you talking to? And you right here talking about, if? I just fed 4,000 with a few pieces of fish and a few loaves of bread, and you talking about something, if? And they had leftovers, and you talking about if? And they all was full, and you talking about if? I just told the water, peace, be still, and it stopped. And you talking about something, if? If? But don't if with me. But I don't know what. But find somebody else to play with. Don't come to me talking about no if. See, that's when I talk to our church folk, I say, see, we too pity-patty when we come and talk to God. God, if you would just bless me, God, if you would just do a magnificent, if, now, God, I know what you can do. God, I'm coming in right now. God, I'm declaring it, decreeing it so, God, have your way. Move like only you can. Man, y'all better find somebody to play with. Talking about something, if God say the same. If God say the same, hey, man, listen, look. Hey, God, have your way. God, do what you do. God, move like only you can. But then it get better, y'all. It get better. The man said, it said, immediately the father of the child cried out. He said, and I believe. Help my unbelief. That was a double conundrum or something like that. That's a word that they be using at the school. That's a double conundrum. I don't know, y'all. Just felt like I wanted to use it this morning. But how you gonna say you believe and then say, help my unbelief? No. I believe. But Jesus was so locked in the moment that Jesus said, you know what? I appreciate you for your transparency and honesty. See, we have to be transparent and honest with God. See, I understand that times are tough. And I understand that I'm in my prayer closet. And I understand that I'm on my knees. And I understand I'm having a conversation with God. And I know that this seems, and I know I'm going through something I ain't never been through before. And even when I know I'm going through something I ain't never been through before, I'm going to get on my knees and I'm going to say, God, right now, these things are looking shaky for me. God, right now, things are looking tough. God, right now, God, hey, I don't know what's going on, God. And God, I'm not going to lie to you, God. I'm struggling with my belief. But I also know, God, that you are a God that can do anything but fail. God, I know that you are a God who thrives in making the impossible possible. So right now, God, I come to you and I just say, I believe that it will be done. No matter how tough it is, no matter what it looked like, I believe. My question on today is, do you believe? No. I'm talking about like, do you really believe? Because see, sometimes our faith get a little shaky. And it get a little rocky. And things look real unfamiliar. And things ain't going the way they're supposed to go. And I'm getting to looking up, and I don't even really know what to pray about. Man, you better keep praying as if it already is. How locked in are you with God when things are really looking tough? So the dad is sitting here today, man, Jesus, man, help my unbelief. He said, and when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it. This is in parentheses. Quotations, and it's also in red. Hear what he said. He said, you mute and deaf spirit. This when it get good. I command you. Come out of him and never enter him again. It gets so good because, see, we serve a big God who command things. And when he commanded and speak it, it happened. It don't say he touched the boy. It don't say he just spoke to his situation. See, when I go to God, I say, God, I don't know how you going to do it. I just ask that you come and do it. See, God, you ain't got to come down and touch my situation, God. You can speak to mine. Y'all ain't locked in. Just talk to my situation, God. You can come and touch it the next time. Just speak to it right now, God, because things ain't looking right. Speak to it. He commanded for the spirit to come out of the boy. But not only did he command for it to come out of the boy, he told him, and it would never enter him again. See, we go to God and we ask for God to do things, but then we just do one part of the prayer. We just ask for deliverance one time. Now, God, don't just deliver me, God. God, I want you to deliver it, God, and I declare and decree that it go to the bounds of hell where it belongs. And it never enters into my life or my household or my families again. We got to command it like that. See, in this moment, Jesus was trying to tell us how we need to be talking to him and how we got to talk to the spirit and let the spirit know that, man, spirit, you don't belong here. You ain't no spirit of good. You ain't no spirit of light. You are a spirit of darkness. So if you are a spirit of darkness, you don't belong here. So I'm going to send you where you're supposed to go. And I pray that you don't ever come back. But you got to believe that. You got to speak it, and you got to believe what you are speaking. You can't be scared when you're talking to it. You got to stand behind the throne, or you got to stand behind the cross and just be like, look, this is what I'm on right now. See, I love when I used to go play with my big cousins back in the day. I used to go to play with my big cousin. I could stand behind my big cousin and look tough. Because I knew my big cousins, they were crazy for real. I stand behind my big cousin, and I just mean mug and look like I'm about to do something. I ain't finna do nothing. But I just look like it. Sometimes you got to stand behind it and just know, even when it's some fear in here and there's some uncertainty in here, who I'm standing behind, and I know who I'm standing behind got me. When you know who you standing behind got you, you good. I ain't know if my cousin was going to win or not, but I felt like they was. So guess what? I felt like I can be tough. Well, when you standing behind the Holy Spirit, and when you stand behind the Holy One, you have nothing to be afraid of because he has not lost a battle yet. He is undefeated. And what I want to sit here and tell y'all is he ain't going to lose the battle. Muhammad Ali lost. A whole lot of them, they lost. Mike Tyson, he like bad boy. He lost. Tough, he lost. But the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, he ain't lost yet. And it say that they looked at the boy and they said, man, he dead. See, sometimes when you coming out of your storm and when you then washed up on the shore, it just looks as if it's over with for you. But it just looked that way. It say everybody looking, he dead. God was so powerful in this moment that he stopped it completely. He stopped it so much that the boy immediately stopped moving. He was lifeless in the moment. Nothing was happening in the moment. They had never seen anything like this. See, sometimes God will do some things that folks ain't never seen before in your life if you just believe. Well, it said that everybody look at him, he dead, and Jesus still ain't spoke. Jesus just touched his hand and picked him up. And in this moment, everybody got to see how amazing our God is. In closing, y'all, let's say, and when he had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, why could we not cast it out? And he said to them, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer. See, sometimes, people of God, folks come to us asking for us to do miracles, but we ain't the miracle workers. In order for us to do a miracle, we got to go to the miracle worker, and we got to get what grandma say, call him on the main line and tell him what you want. And see, when you get on the main line and tell him what you want, he's the one to give you the instructions to tell you how to get it done. See, sometimes he's going to say pray. Sometimes he's going to say fast. Sometimes he's going to say just go into solitude. But we got to go to him so he can tell us how to do it. They went to Jesus like, Jesus, we tried to touch him. It didn't work. Jesus, we tried to do it. It didn't work. Jesus said, yeah, because that went what y'all needed to do. See, in that moment, y'all needed to pray. We got to be locked in. But in order to be locked in, we have to just believe. Well, we know that later on in the Gospel of Mark, we understand that some things got rough even for Jesus. And we understand that Peter, who was right there with Jesus, who had seen Jesus get transfigured, and who Jesus had told all of these things was going to happen to him, got to see his partner get carried off by some Roman officials. And they say that in this moment, they say that Peter cut off one of their ear. And they say that Jesus said, no, Peter, we can't move like that. And they say that he touched his ear, and they say that he healed him. And even after Jesus healed the man, they say that they still took Jesus away. And they say that when they took Jesus away, they say they took him to this place, and they say they started ripping off his clothes. And they say they started beating on Jesus. And they say they started whooping up on him. They say they started spitting him. They say they started slapping him. They say they started doing all these things. They say they started mocking him. They say they started telling them, if you are who you are, well, do something right now, Jesus. And they say that Jesus just sat there and looked at them. And they say that they took him to this place by the name of Calvary. And they say that before he went to Calvary, they say that Jesus had to carry a old rugged cross. But with that old rugged cross, they say that he had some thorns. And they say that the thorns was around his head. And they say they wanted to make a mockery of him because he was the King of Kings and the Lord of the Lord. But they wanted to joke and play with him. Well, they say that as he's walking around with these thorns in his head, and the thorns are not ordinary thorns. These are real crazy thorns that's piercing through his skull, and he got blood running down his face, and he's carrying this cross with him. And they say that the cross got a little too heavy for him. And they say that a young man helped him with his cross, and they say they took him to a place. And they say that when he got to the place, they say that they nailed him to the cross. And they say that these were no ordinary nails. They say that these were the nails that you go and get from Home Depot. They say that these were some real thick and long nails. And they say that they started to crush the bones in his hands as they pierced them in his hands and put the nails in his hands. But then they say they ain't just put the nails in his hands. They say they got them same nails, and they say they put them nails in his feet. And they say that they hung him. And they say that as they hung him, Jesus looked at them and said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. But see, Jesus was so locked in because Jesus believed in his Father, and he already knew that this was just a part of the process. He knew that he believed in the process, and he had already told Peter what was going to happen. But see, Peter them ain't want this to happen to their partner. And they say that he was sitting between two thieves, and one of the thieves said, man, don't forget about me. And Jesus said, man, I got you. Well, they say that at the third hour, they say that he hung his head and he died. But what I love about it, they say that they took him down and they put him in an old borrowed tomb. See, they put him in a borrowed tomb because they believed that our God was going to shake back. And they say that he sat there on the first day. And they say he sat there on the second day. But they say on the third day, he rose with all power in his hands. His disciples, some of them, still did not believe. Even after he told them what he was going to do. But what I love about it is they tell us that when we get to keep moving and say that he arrived on the third day into the upper room where his disciples was at to show them who he was. And he said he looked at old Thomas and he showed him the hands and said, yeah, it's me. I told y'all what I was going to do. Do you believe now? I come on today saying, just believe. Scripture tells us if we confess with our tongue and we believe in our heart that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, he said that we will be saved. He said it's real simple though. All you got to do is believe. Speak it and believe it in your heart, and if you just believe, you will be saved. I love you all. I thank you all.